Hello, my name is Jennifer Bailey, and I'm the person behind Sing to Kids. This is Beyond the Concert, Authentic Ways to Share the Learning. This is part of the Music Crew's Summer Professional Development, and my session is scheduled for Monday, July 13th, 2026. Our goals for this session are: we will learn how to share authentic and developmentally appropriate learning with parents and caregivers. We will learn how to build relationships with those parents and caregivers within our school. And lastly, we're going to help parents and caregivers understand the learning process that takes place beyond the concerts. So let's get started. The first thing I love to share, and the easiest thing to share in an elementary classroom, are photos and video snapshots. So what kind of photos and videos do you share? Well, share milestone moments in music. Share the first day of music and what the students learned. Share your students learning a new song or chant that they have mastered and feel ready to perform. Share your students performing a folk dance or a movement activity with props. Or share your students performing on the instruments in your room, like the keyboards, drums, ukuleles, or recorders. There are so many ways that you can share these photos and video snapshots with parents and caregivers. You can share them in a class email. You can share them on your school's website or social media. You can share via a class app. The one thing I really want to caution all educators is to make sure that if you are showing student images, make sure that the student is able to be photographed and shared via digital media. Your district most likely has a form that parents sign that says that their child's image can be shared on social media or in any kind of capacity within the school district. And if you're not sure where to find that information, I would suggest you talking to your media specialist or to your office staff, because oftentimes they have record of who can be shown digitally and who cannot. And it's really important that we honor that because that is a legal issue in terms of sharing student images on websites and other things. And even if you can't share a student's face, like this picture shows, you can still record performances and share that with parents and just put your focus on the instrument versus the child so that they can hear and see the things that they're doing in music class. Another way I love to share about the things that we're doing in the music room are what I call Ask Me Abouts. And very simply, I send a little paper home or a sticker with Ask Me About as a conversation starter. So as we're learning about parts of the melody, or we're learning about ABA form, or we're learning about a tonic chord for the first time, or maybe we're learning about tempo or dynamics, or the string instruments in the string family, or even your child's favorite song, I will send home a little sheet of paper that looks like this. Ask me about dynamics. Today I learned music is performed with dynamics. Ask me to tell you the definition of dynamics, or tell me about a song that you performed dynamics to. Ask me about a melody. Today I learned a new song called Closet Key. Ask me to sing it to you and tell you the resting tone. Ask me about a rhythm. Today I learned to read rhythm patterns in duple meter. Ask me to read these patterns to you. Ask me about harmony. Today I learned that 3 pitches make up a major tonic chord. Ask me to tell you what those 3 sounds are that make the major tonic chord. So these are all little quarter sheets. I will put 4 on a piece of paper and give each child one to take home. And then the hope is, as the parent is going through the folder, they'll see it and they'll talk to their child. Hey, tell me about this that you learned in music class today. What did you do? Can you read this for me? Can you sing this for me? Can you tell me about major tonic? And it's just a way to get children and parents or caregivers to begin to have conversations about what they're learning in music class that's different than tell me about a song or what was your favorite thing today. Because as a parent, I know that when I ask my child, what did you do today? Usually the response is nothing. And we know that that is not always the case, that our students are learning so much in our music room. So giving these little directives via the paper are a really good way to then begin those conversations with our students and our parents, and help them to know the kinds of things, the rich things that they are learning in the music room. Another way I love to get parents involved in the learning in the music room is through song sheets. And these typically are used during music center days. So during our centers, I'll have 5 or 6 stations in the room. One of them is always a coloring station, and the coloring station always has songs that we have done in music class. And so the child can color the paper with the song or the images from the song on it. Usually there are images on one side, and then I put the words or the melody on the back side of the page, just so that the children have that access to that as well. So they color that in their music center, and then they take that home. And what I encourage kids to do is to show this to your parent or your caregiver and sing it to a special adult in your life. It doesn't always have to be the parent. It could be a grandparent, it could be an aunt or an uncle, it could be a babysitter. But what I want them to do is to sing the songs to the adult, and then invite them to share something they learned about that song. Like, why did we learn that song? Did we use it for movement? Did we use it to learn something about melody? Did we learn it because it had an ostinato that we were performing on an instrument? So not only perform the song for your caregiver, but also tell them why we learned that song in music class. And here are some examples of these that I send home with my students. So sometimes, depending on the age or the grade, if I'm working with kindergartners, mostly I just might have the lyrics there. If I'm working with older students, first or second or third graders, then I'll put notation on the page as well, because my hope is that if I'm modeling how we read notation, then the child will go home and model how they have learned to read the song as well. So you can see Doggy Doggy, I have the melody there. Rain, Rain, Go Away, I have the rhythms there. So I have lots of different ways to let students interact musically with the song sheet that they've colored, so that not only are they able to sing or perform the song, but they can also show in notation, this is what I learned from this as well. And if this is something that's of interest to you, I do have these kinds of song sheets in my TPT store that are available for you to purchase if that is something that you would like to look into for yourself. Write the room activities. This is always a favorite in my elementary music classroom. And I love them because, again, they take them home and they have an opportunity to share with their parents what they've been learning in music class. So if you've not used a Write the Room activity before, what happens is that you put up 10, I typically have them in sets of 10 rhythm cards around the room, or you could do them for tonal patterns as well. And then you give the students a sheet with a picture of each character on the page, and they have to find those different pages around the room and then write the corresponding rhythm on their own sheet. And I like to kind of hide them around the room, so it's a little bit of a journey to find all of the different rhythms. So students write the rhythms on their sheets, and then when they're done in class, I like for them to sit with a partner and practice reading those rhythms to a friend. And if they've read them, because sometimes kids will go very quickly, then I want you to read those rhythms and then try improvising or creating your own rhythm after the one that you just read. So as students learn different levels of rhythm patterns, we share that rhythmic reading activity, such as a Write the Room activity, and we encourage those students to read the patterns to a parent or caregiver. And we encourage students to teach their parents or caregivers how to read those patterns on their own, or how to create or improvise patterns on their own. I think that's such a lovely thing for the students not to just read the patterns, but then show, hey, when you see this rhythm, that is do or ta, or this is dute or titi, so that parents have an opportunity to see and learn how to read the rhythms as well. And this is just an example of a write the room activity. So you can see that you have the little cards that you put around the room, and then the sheet in the middle is the paper that the students use as they're going around the room and collecting those rhythms. And again, if this is something that piques your interest and you've not used a write the rhythm or write the room activity before in your room, I encourage you to search this on my TPT store, and you'll find lots of examples of these that you can use throughout the year. Digital portfolios. This particular activity I love using with my older students. I will tell you that it does take a little bit of extra time to plan this out and to execute. But creating a digital portfolio for students can be done very easily using Google Folders or Google Drive. And simply what I do is I create a class folder for each class in a grade level. So if I'm working with my fifth graders, each class has their own folder. And then I share videos such as their student projects. So if we're doing an arrangement of an ORF piece, we will videotape the final product of that and put that video into the Google Drive or into the Google folder. If we are doing compositions, then all of the student compositions go into that folder. So you can highlight folk dances, recorder performances, drumming ensembles, ukulele performances. And the thing that I find very, very helpful is that as we're doing this, I always include learning statements about those projects. So we did this project, and here's the why we did this. Here are all the things we learned in this project, so that parents get to see, like, yes, there's this really cool composition at the end, but here's how your student took their knowledge of melody and harmony and rhythmic knowledge, and they put it all together to create this final product, so that parents understand that there is a process to learning, and that we are very purposeful in the work that we do in the music room to ensure that students are learning all of this information, but also having opportunities to create and apply what they've learned in previous grade levels to create this composition or this performance, so that they understand that everything that we do is built upon prior knowledge and prior experiences. It's not just a one and done, or that we're not just a place to go and have fun in the music room. Fun is inherent in everything that we do in the music room, but there's so much more to what we do as well. And then I will share with you at the end of the year or at the end of the semester, I will send home a little letter to parents with access to the Google Drive folder. And that way that they and their students can look at their work and see what they've accomplished in that semester or in that year. And students can kind of walk them through their own work and share with their family members, both in the home, and sometimes those links get shared to grandparents and aunts and uncles as well. So it's just a lovely way to share the bigger parts of what we do in the music room, when sometimes those big projects that you're doing, those ORF ensembles, those compositions, those ukulele units take, 6 to 8 class periods, or, a month or two to get through. It's a lovely way to honor all of that work and share it with the adults in the home. One of my favorite things to do with families is to do informances. And one of the biggest reasons I love informances is that it takes the pressure off of a polished final product. I know and believe that there is a place for performance in elementary music. But I also believe that sometimes we get so caught up in preparing for this final performance that learning can take a back seat. And so for me, informances are a lovely way to share what we're doing in the music room without the pressure of, being up on stage and everything being coordinated and perfect and things like that. So informants is typically inviting the adults or the caregivers or parents into the music room. So it is not a polished performance. It is very simply an opportunity for parents to come in during a music class and participate in that class alongside their students. So when I'm having an informant, the parent is sitting on the floor right next to their child and learning music alongside them. It is a really meaningful moment for parents to get to sit with their child and make music with them. Uh, I cannot begin to tell you the positive feedback I get from families about our informances when they get to come in and be part of their child's music experience. Many times I'm told, I had no idea my child was learning what they're learning in your music class. And I think that's such a lovely thing for parents to get that opportunity to see what actually happens in the music room. I think the tricky thing about an informant is how and when to schedule them. Because if we're, as a parent, I'm mindful that it is hard to take days off of work and accommodate all of the cool things that are happening in the school. So when I'm scheduling an informants, I like to look at our building schedule and look like, when are we having our book fair? When are we having conferences? What are the days and times where parents are more likely to be in the building for other events so that I can piggyback onto that? So when it's conference week and we have the book fair going on and we know that we're going to have lunch with a loved one, and invite parents into the building, those are the times I'm more likely to schedule in informants, just so that I'm being considerate of the fact that, again, there are finite times parents can take off of work. And if they're going to be here for the book fair or for a conference, why not invite them into the music room that week as well? All right, school-wide assemblies are such a lovely way to highlight student work as a natural outcome of the learning process. So if your school does school-wide assemblies where the whole school comes together to celebrate something that's happening in the school, why not add a little performance there? Let one class or one grade level do something that they've been learning about in the music room. It takes the pressure off of a full-blown performance of having to prepare, 45 minutes worth of music for a performance. And it can be something that like the kids did in music class and they just want to share it with everyone. So choose one class to do a song or an activity, or one, maybe they created something and they want to perform that composition. Maybe they've mastered a really difficult folk dance and they want to share it with the school. And the other thing I think that's so lovely is that when my students perform in school-wide assemblies, I love for them to be the ones that introduce and share what they learned as an outcome of the process. So I let my students do the talking. I let them introduce the piece. I let them share why they enjoyed or why they wanted to share this, what did they learn, and then we do the performance for the school. And I think that's also a lovely way to highlight, like, hey, my little first graders and second graders, here's what the third and fourth graders have been working on. Or, hey, fourth graders, remember when you were in first grade learning? And it's just a lovely way to share the learning across our school and to honor all of the unique things that we learn from grade level to grade level. This is one of my favorite nights at school, and that is hosting a family folk dance night. You can do this very easily in your gym. The rule that I have is that there are no chairs out. Now, I say that, and I can see in this picture that there are some chairs around the perimeter of the room. But I've learned very quickly that if you put chairs there, the adults will sit in them. And they think that they're coming to watch their children dance. And nothing could be further from the truth. So I am a firm believer in no chairs in the family folk dance night because I want every family dancing together. So students pair with a parent or an adult to do the dances. No one is allowed to sit out. And what I like to do is start with very simple dances and move progressively to more challenging dances. So we might start our first one as just a simple circle dance, moving around the circle, moving in, moving out. And what I'm doing is really modeling for the parents just how their student is learning to dance in the music room, right? So we don't start with the hardest dance in first grade. We start with dances that are a little bit more easy in nature. And then as they master the steps within that dance, then we take those and apply them into a harder dance, and then a more challenging dance, and a more challenging dance, until we end up with doing long way sets and things like that. I am going to tell you that this is one of the funnest nights in our building, and the parents just have a blast. If you have a very diverse population, I would really challenge you to include dances that represent your student populations. I have I work in a building where half of our building is Indian, and so anytime that I can pull in dances and music that is representing our students, it only enhances the entire experience. The other thing I like to do is that if I have families that are comfortable in sharing their culture, I will invite them to then share or lead a dance. So I had a family from Lithuania who loved folk dancing, would come in and teach their folk dance to our families. I had another family that was Syrian, and they would come in and show how they would do a dance and teach it to everyone. I think it's such a powerful thing to have your students and their families share their culture and lead their traditions among the group as well. And so it just lends itself to a lovely night of enjoyment and understanding and celebration. And you will never go wrong hosting a family folk dance night. Another way you can share the learning in your building is to host a family STEAM night, or perhaps your school already does this. Make sure you're part of it. During that family STEAM night, you can provide activities that students and families can do together to explore music. You can create instruments out of recycled materials. You can explore pitch through water xylophones or PVC pipes. You can create melodies, use makey makey. You can explore vibration through guitars and ukuleles and drums. There are so many different ways that you can make sure that you're putting the A in STEM and making it STEAM, so that parents can see what an important part the arts play in a well-rounded education. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love doing a little STEAM day with my groups as well, so that my students have an opportunity to see how music impacts all different aspects of learning, and that it's not just music for music's sake. That is important, but I also want them to see the impact the arts have across all areas of life, including what we do in our music room. If you celebrate Music in Our Schools Month, which is part of NAFME, a really easy way that you can do this is to send a little music at home bingo sheet. So you can provide activities that families can do together in celebration of Music in Our Schools Month. It might be, hey, I want your family to learn a folk song together. I want you to interview a family member about how they like to enjoy music. Like, how do they participate in music? How is it part of their life? You could suggest a piece of music to listen to or watch as a family. You could explore virtual games like Chrome Music Lab as a family, and then have them fill out their little bingo sheet with the different ways their family explored music, and have them send it back at the end of the month so that they have an opportunity to share with their class, like, here are all the ways our family explored music in our home during Music in Our Schools Month. This little bingo sheet is available for free on my TPT page, and you are welcome to download it and use it in your own program. I think it's such an easy way to just encourage music in the home. without a lot of effort on our side as educators. There are so many benefits to sharing authentic learning with our parents and caregivers. The first is that it takes the pressure away from always having to prepare for performances. We know as teachers that we are already tasked with so much. And again, although performance has its place, when you're working in a building that's pre-K through 5 or K through 8, you know that preparing for performances for multiple grade levels can really, really take its toll on us over time. So finding other ways to share the learning is really helpful. One of the things that I think is so important is that it shifts the focus on process versus performance. So again, I fully believe that there is a place for performance in elementary music, but I think that so much of what we do, regardless of how you learn music in your room, how you teach students in your room, whether you use a Kodai or ORF or music learning theory approach, I think the thing that we are all very focused on is the process of learning music. And so when I can share learning that honors the process with a natural outcome, a natural performance, that is always going to be a win-win for me. Because it shows parents that what we do is not a standalone activity. It's not edutainment. It is really about guiding your students through learning music in a deep and meaningful way and helping them have an appreciation of music that is going to hopefully last a lifetime. That is my goal. I'm planting those seeds of a lifetime of enjoyment of music. I think another wonderful benefit to sharing authentic learning is that it helps you to build relationships with parents through regular communication. I know from speaking with my own parents that sometimes there's a lot of communication that comes from the schools, but anytime they can see a little video or a photo of something that their child is doing or learning about actively in the music room, they will stop and engage with that. And I've had so many parents share with me that they really appreciate learning about how their child is learning music and what they're doing in the music room. And so when I have those opportunities to build those relationships with parents through that regular communication, that also helps me later when I do have to reach out to a parent about something that may be a little bit more challenging. Maybe there's a behavior that we need to talk about. Maybe there was a difficult day in music. Because I've already established a relationship with that parent, when I need to reach out to them about something else, it's all the more easy to have that conversation because there's a relationship that already exists. And they know that everything that I'm doing in the music room is to support their child and to help their child grow in their understanding of music, and that I truly have their child's best interest at heart when I am working with them, both in the music room and in other areas of the school. Lastly, the more you share, the more opportunities parents have to see the value of music education in their child's life. And I think this really goes to the advocacy side of what we do. So often when budgets get tight, the first thing on the chopping block is the arts. And I think that the more we share what we do and how we do it, the parents begin to understand and value what we do differently, that we're not just someplace their child goes to have a little fun and have a little break while their teacher gets a break, but we are a vital part of their child's overall learning experience. And so the more we share, the more likely parents are going to see the value of music education in their child's life and then want to advocate and fight for our programs when there are tough times that are coming at our districts. And so I think that although this is not the primary reason that I do what I do and share what I share, it is a lovely side effect of what we do. And anytime I can build capacity for advocacy, I will take the time to do so, because I think it is so important that we are sharing the value that we add to our schools and to our students' lives through music education. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my session today. I have a handout that you can download, and I will have a couple of freebies for you as well that you can find, like that music at home sheet, and some of the other things that I shared in this session you'll be able to find as well. Again, my name is Jennifer Bailey. I'm the person behind Sing to Kids. You can find me at singtokids.com, and all areas of social media, I am Sing to Kids. Thank you so much for attending my session today. It was a pleasure to speak to you.